And joining me now is Illinois Democratic Congressman and former meteorologist Eric Sorensen. You certainly bring skills to this and understanding of what can be such a complex situation with weather. We appreciate getting your insight on this. As you know, the governor of Texas may have a news conference at any moment, so bear with me if we have to step away. But let's start with your knowledge about this. You have worked along with Texas Congressman Moran trying to introduce a bipartisan bill that would strengthen weather monitoring systems, and especially in rural areas. Do you believe that there is now a more urgent call for that? And do you think that there are some lessons from this incident that could help to inform how you approach this legislation?
Kelly, it's good to be with you. I think those are the logical next steps, and those are the steps that I want to hear from Governor Abbott. As he gives this press conference, I want to know now that there has to be something that has learned here. In this river system, we've had significant floods in 1978, in 2002, in 2025. But the problem, Kelly, is these are about a generation apart. And so that means people will have forgotten what happened before. And I recollect back to a significant tornado that happened in Belvidere, Illinois, in 1967, right as school was getting out. And that led us to understand, wait a minute, we should have tornado drills and preparedness in schools. We have to learn something from the tragedies that we see. And so when we go forward, we're not going to repeat the bad history.
There, of course, are many questions that are coming now in building about who knew what when, who was responsible. Because you have the meteorological background, can you help us to understand how difficult it is to know what this threat actually was in real time? It was a holiday weekend. It was very late at night. Do you have a sense of how many of those answers are obtainable at this point?
Right. So this was different than, for instance, Houston, which gets flooded by Hurricane Ike. We knew this area of low pressure as it was exiting out of the Rio Grande Valley could produce 5, 10, 15 inches of rain. And the meteorologists at the National Weather Service are heroes. The meteorologists at local broadcast media are heroes because they were getting that information out in real time leading up to the event. The problem was this struck in the middle of the night. What happened between the 1:15 a.m. where the flash flood emergency came out and the 4 a.m. when the water rose? Was there a chance that we could have gotten, especially these young girls, out of harm's way? Those are the things that I want to find answers to. And we need to make sure that we do that from Capitol Hill in a bipartisan way, where I'm working with Congressman Moran of Northeast Texas and Mike Flood of Nebraska to make sure that we're solidifying our support for the National Weather Service. But then not only that, we have to invest in the National Weather Service. We have to get President Trump to understand that investing in the National Weather Service, making sure we have more accurate weather models, could maybe make these types of disasters a thing of the past.
The White House has been, and the administration more broadly, have been very defensive about the fact that there were enough personnel with the National Weather Service and FEMA on duty and so forth at the time when these forecasts needed to be tweaked and updated and when alerts would go out. And of course, it's a federal and local response. Do you have any concerns that some of the cuts to the federal employee roster at these agencies made a difference, could have made a difference, or would affect just how they organize themselves now?
From what we know at the National Weather Service office in New Braunfels, Texas, is they did have enough people sitting at the warning desk, at the decision-making desks, to do everything that they could. Now, that cannot be said at every National Weather Service office. We've got short staffing almost through the entire enterprise. We need to take care of that. That's what Congressman Mike Flood and that's what we want to do in Congress with this bill. But then also going forward, we need to make sure that there is a commitment from the administration that the National Weather Service is just that. It is a service. We take it for granted that our phones are going to go off in the middle of the night when the tornado warning or the flash flood warning is issued. But we need to know when that happens that there's going to be a way for us to escape. And so we are going to have to continue to work on the social science to make sure that the communication of meteorology gets better, because it can't just be that we're issuing weather alert days and then nothing happens. This was a disaster like we haven't seen in a generation. And people should have known that.
I can imagine that on a holiday weekend, especially, and when you've got 9 and 10-year-old girls at camp, they probably don't have phones right at their bedside there. People are on vacation. They're maybe getting away from being connected in the same way we would be. So that's raised the issue of sirens. And in your former life before Congress, where you were actively working and forecasting and communicating to your community about dangers that could come, there's been this notion of, is it a cry wolf risk if you have a siren that goes off? Concerns about, would that scare people? Where do you come down on the sort of the balance between trying to give people information and also not scaring a community?
Right. Well, most counties in my congressional district and in my former coverage area as a meteorologist, we have tornado sirens. In my neck of the woods in Western Illinois, these happen very frequently. They get tested every Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the month at 10 a.m. Kids understand what it means. You go inside when you hear them. But if we were to strategically place these sirens down the river valley so that you could almost hear them coming, understanding that it is a different tone, that the tone could say, seek higher ground now, telling people what to do. Maybe it's more than a siren. If we could invest in that to provide that safety for people in what we know is flash flood alley. We know the Guadalupe River has flash floods greater than almost any other river in the country. But we're also going to need the efforts of Congressman Chip Roy, who doesn't believe in spending money, as we know. He wants to curtail any spending. This is an opportunity for him to actually have the government work for the people of his district. And I look forward, once I get back to Washington, to have a conversation with him.
Exactly. And that conversation will be important, and you obviously have some very difficult real-world circumstances to use to make your case for this legislation. I thank you for your time and your expertise on this, and we, especially with these weather things, let's have you back again, because you can give us insights from both sides of that experience.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.